Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
506, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Welcome on into your Friday. I'll go ahead and throw down a Friday today. It's been a long week.
I'm ready for it, Brother Dan.
You ready for it, Brother Ken?
I am indeed.
Johnny, you ready for a Friday?
Friday!
There you go. That'll be the only one I throw down today, I promise. Now, I don't mean to go Danny Downer on everyone before we're literally 30 seconds into the show.
Bet you're going to.
Oh, my Lord. Did you see this tweet that Joe Biden sent out yesterday?
Was it Joe or his handlers?
Well, it was obviously his handlers, but listen to what they said. Because I thought this was from The Onion. I thought this was a joke.
Okay.
There's a picture of Joe Biden smiling in his aviators behind the presidential podium.
Oh, boy.
American flag behind him. And do you know what this tweet says? On my watch, when we make promises, we keep them. And we leave no one behind. That's what Joe Biden, or his handlers, his administration tweeted out. We leave no one behind.
Oh, really?
Now, the 5 million and still going up people that have read that tweet, even if you're a Joe Biden supporter, how can you stand by and not acknowledge this clear lack of self-awareness of the Biden administration? I mean, good Lord, the Afghanistan pullout? Leaving Americans behind, clearly, with our lack of enforcing our immigration laws, giving the illegal aliens more money in their pocket than a lot of Americans have in our own pocket. And of course, we're leaving out Israel as well. We're leaving Israel behind as well by pulling out by putting a pause on those munitions that we're refusing now to send them for the second time. And so when I saw that tweet, I thought, I can't imagine that the Biden administration really is trying to do this with a straight face, but they really are. And so, as you can, again, imagine, you've got thousands of people that are going through the litany. I'm starting to call it the litany, where it's just all of the things that Biden has done over the last 3 years to leave America behind. You know, enforcing Ukraine's border by giving them all kinds of money and aid and, again, artillery, munitions, yet completely ignoring our own border. That's part of the not enforcing our own immigration laws. I mean, the litany of things where Joe Biden has left Americans and America behind, it's long. And we could keep going. What about lying to America perpetually every single day? When the president says, oh, no, we're not going to raise the taxes on anyone making under $400,000 a year. That is a complete lie.
Not to mention the Americans left behind in Haiti that were asking to be let free.
Another one.
And he ignored them.
That's what Joe Biden does. On my watch, when we make promises, we keep them and we leave no one behind. Really? May 9th, 2024. This was apparently right after we got off the air yesterday. I saw this and I saw this moments before I went on the air. Totally missed it yesterday. And so now the question is, I would love for Peter Doocy. Do you think you will? Do you think the cringe Jean-Pierre, if they actually have a White House press briefing today? I would love for Peter Doocy or anyone to ask Cringe, does the president understand that the majority of Americans do feel left behind? And, you know, I would also talk about what is the definition of being left behind? How many Americans, well, hey, Ken, what was the, you played an audio bite, an actuality or a voicer on the fact that Americans are not spending as much money now.
Mm-hmm.
How many Americans have been left behind in Biden's economy?
Everybody who goes to the grocery store.
Everybody who needs to buy stuff.
Which is at least half of, 374 million of us?
Right. I mean, listen, Biden may be able to go to the Hollywood elite and say, give me money for my campaign because I'm going to do right by the elite in America. But real, true Americans have been left behind in this country because of his economic plan and because of the rise in inflation that was caused by him artificially inserting money into our economy after COVID unnecessarily. And the battle against, domestic oil production and so on and so forth. So this is a problem for the American people. So when he says he doesn't leave anybody behind, I would ask the question, will anybody within the White House press corps actually ask him the question or ask Karine Jean-Pierre the question, is he serious? I mean, it's not April Fool's Day, but somebody thought it would be a good idea to tweet that out. Absolutely stunning. I saw that. And he is leaving behind Israel. And that is clear. Couple of things real quick. I'll probably be able to get into this in more detail later on in the radio broadcast. But in the news today, Johnny needs some audio. In the news today, we've got Doug Burgum. Now, you know who Doug Burgum is, right? He ran for president, didn't really have much of a chance, but people definitely stood up and took notice that this is a guy, the North Dakota governor, VP candidate. They are now labeling Doug Burgum as a VP candidate. Now, for the second time, Joe Biden is going to leave Israel behind by not giving them the munitions that they need, the military aid that they need, because Israel right now wants to go into Rafah in Gaza to take out the last remnants of Hamas. They've got them cornered. And so Biden has now decided to leave Israel behind and say, no, we're not going to give you the military, the munitions that you need, the artillery that you need, the bombs that you need, because we're afraid that innocent civilians, I'm air quoting, innocent civilians will be killed. And so Doug Burgum, he was on Fox News, he puts it this way. He says that this is an absolute betrayal of one of our longest running allies, certainly in Israel, one of our strongest allies. This is what Doug Burgum says.
Well, I think it's truly unbelievable. We're in completely new territory here for President of the United States, because we've always had a rule, which is don't negotiate with terrorists. But Joe Biden has gone way beyond that. He's actually negotiating for the terrorists.
Right. Literally what Joe Biden is doing is leaving Israel behind and helping Hamas. That's what he's doing. Under the guise of, by the way, under the guise of saying, well, we're worried about, the over 1 million or 1.5 million innocent civilians in Rafah. Well, that's all fine and well, but I mean, if you're going to go by that standard, innocent civilians have been killed for the last, 6 months since Israel has gone in defending itself against Hamas and going through Gaza, trying to root them out as they use civilians as human shields. So Burgum is right. And so now we're just going through the litany of things that Joe Biden has done over the last 3.5 years that clearly proves that notion that we leave no one behind as an absolute lie. I mean, you've got the litany, the Afghanistan pullout, leaving Americans behind with not enforcing our immigration laws, these illegal aliens coming into our country, getting more government handouts courtesy of the American people at a time when we here in America are suffering big time because of Bidenomics. And yes, we are once again withholding military aid to Israel as they're getting ready to, and they want to go into Rafah and take out Hamas. The last, 3 or 4 battalions, whatever it is, of Hamas terrorists, under the guise that Biden wants to protect the innocent civilians in Gaza, in Rafah. The same ones, by the way, that were celebrating after 9/11. Yeah, those people. Those people, the ones that, by and large, they do support Hamas and what they stand for. And they celebrated in the streets. after what happened on October 7th. And so, yeah, Doug Burgum was on Fox News. And part of this, of course, is because war, not only is it hell, but also, you know, there's a chess match that Israel is really playing with Rafah, because you've got Hamas using all of these people as human shields. And so that is, in Biden's mind, forcing him to try to take into account the human toll, the innocent people, again, air quoting, that he decides that he wants to protect. But see, I think that what Biden is doing is, I don't think he really cares about the innocents. I think that what President Biden truly cares about is protecting the terrorist vote within the Democrat Party, the terrorist supporters within the Democrat Party. Because from a political standpoint, he gives those weapons to Israel. They use those weapons to take out Hamas. Innocent people get taken out because Hamas is using them as human shields. And then there's going to be a political fallout here in America, because here in America, within the Democrat Party, there are a bunch of Hamas sympathizers and terrorist supporters. It is absolutely insane. Doug Burgum knows it, and so do you.
And when you think about that, think of every one of our allies around the world watching this and going, wow, Israel is supposed to be America's top ally, and the president is threatening them. How about Joe Biden saying, we're going to keep providing weapons until you release the hostages, Hamas? He should be negotiating alongside of Israel. He's on the opposite side of the table. And I can tell you that if President Trump was in office right now, this would not be happening, because this is Joe Biden's weakness on display, like it was with Afghanistan.
Remember, this could impact, one of the things that Biden was worried about is that it would impact the ceasefire negotiations. Now, realize those same negotiations, and I've been telling you about this all week, those same negotiations would actually result in Israel getting rolled. Remember we talked about this? Hamas would get hundreds of prisoners released, you know, battle warriors. And Israel would get a total of, what, a few dozen hostages released? And Israel, by the way, agreed to all of this. And then Hamas changed the plan and then said, oh, this is a great victory for Hamas. And Israel said, no, because what you did is you changed what we agreed to. And so, once again, Hamas pulling the rug out from under Israel. And so Israel, justifiably so, came back and said, no, that ain't going to happen. And now apparently our negotiators have left the negotiations because we can't get the deal done. So, yeah, this is Joe Biden's weakness, clearly on full display.
He continues to lead with weakness, and he's doing it for one reason. He's doing it because he's trying to get votes in November from the pro-Hamas part of the Democrat Party.
There you go. And, you know, I don't think that that is rhetoric. Because, you know, some people will say, oh, my God, that is just right-wing rhetoric. How could you possibly say that the Democrat Party is pro-Hamas? My question back to those people would say, how can you say they're not? Because when Biden forces Israel to fight and protect itself with one hand behind its back throughout this whole ordeal, and now he's withholding munitions and weapons from Israel at their most critical time. And by the way, this is, as we've talked about before, congressionally approved. And so Congress has already approved these weapons going to Israel. And now Biden is going to, in my opinion, because of politics, unilaterally say, no, Israel, in its important time, before your most important battle, you cannot have these weapons. Speaking of pro-Hamas Democrats, in this Fox interview, they read a tweet from none other than Ilhan Omar praising that Biden is keeping weapons away from Israel, praising Joe Biden. Now, memo to Joe Biden and all you terrorist-loving Democrats. if you're on the same side as Ilhan Omar, you're doing something wrong, clearly. Remember, she called Israel pro-genocide earlier in the week. And so now there's a possibility that she actually may get sanctioned or censured for that. And I would tell you that she clearly does need to be. Will they? I have no idea.